Everybody, we're going to get started. We'd like to acknowledge that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which we are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that our watershed forms a part of the treaty and traditional territory of the southeastern Anishinaabe. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we live and work. To honor this legacy, we commit to being stewards of the natural environment and undertake to have a relationship of respect with our treaty. Okay, so can I have a motion to adopt the agenda, please? Jerry, Tracy, all in favor? Carried. Great. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? None seen. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of May? Or number 5, I'm sorry, yeah. Okay, Peter and seconder, Jerry, all in favor, carried. Any business arising from the minutes? Okay, none. No deputation. Clicking along here. Okay, so we're on to 6.1, Lake Scugog Environmental Management Plan Implementation and Consultation Update. Tanner. Welcome, Tanner.
Thank you.
Tanner Liang, Water Quality Specialist.
Yes.
And so is this where the little extra video is?
It'll be right at the end of
Okay,
10
cool.
years.
Great.
Yep.
Hey, welcome everybody. It's me again. I presented last month, so I'm back at it. For those, hi Mark, welcome. My name's Tanner, as the chair mentioned. I'm the water quality specialist for Kawartha, and I'm here today to present on the, oh, is it working?
Oh, good.
I don't think it's working.
Up at the table? You can sit up at the table. Come and,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, is it Jeff? Sorry.
What's
Sorry.
No worries. Email, it's not working.
Okay.
Oh, okay, next slide, please. Okay. I'm here to talk about the Lake Scugog Environmental Management Plan, or I'm going to call it LSEMP. So a little bit about LSEMP, or the Lake Scugog Environmental Management Plan. Sorry, there's a lot of animations. So back in the day, 1970s, or maybe some of you guys remember, I wasn't alive, but the Ministry of the Environment did the first really good water quality assessment of Lake Scugog. This was done in 1972, but eutrophication, so the rapid aging of the lake when algae kind of grows uncontrollably, that leads to poor water quality, that continues to be an area of concern. And that's why we implemented the Lake Scugog Environmental Management Plan in 2004. Next slide, please. Yeah. And its goal was to identify where these excess nutrients are coming from and to provide recommendations. Next slide, or next. So we started in 2004, and then we did 5 years of data collection, and then we published the LSEMP report in 2010. Slide, please. And then from 2010 onwards, we work with various partnerships to implement those recommendations. So as of 2024, we kind of celebrated the 20th anniversary of monitoring Lake Scugog. And then this year, 2025, we celebrated 15 years since the publication of the LSEMP report. Next slide, please. So as of today, 61 of the 74 recommendations are complete or ongoing or in progress. We've done it. And then some recommendations were not completed or initiated. An example of this was using the lakeshore capacity model developed by the ministry to assess the capacity of Lake Scugog. Now, this lakeshore capacity model is made for shield lakes think of your typical Muskoka lakes, and it's not really well suited for a lake, a unique lake like Lake Skugog. So we know that the model doesn't fit, so that's why we didn't start that task. Next slide, please. So 20 years of monitoring, what did we find? So for phosphorus levels have increased in Layton River, Lower East Cross Creek, Williams Creek, and Cockers Creek. Next, nitrite has increased across most tributaries with Fingerboard Creek, so that's the third panel from the left, showing the steepest upward trends. And those dots that are located in the green are below the recommended guidelines. Those above in the red, that's kind of past the recommended guidelines. So chloride, so we have a shorter or smaller data set for chloride, but generally we see Cockers Creek and Williams Creek. These are like urban creeks in Port Perry showing higher levels than the other monitored creeks. And then this is showing for Lake Skugog, we look at water clarity. So this is how far we can see in the water column. And from the 20-year data set, generally, we see that the Western Basin, this is Port Perry, 7 Mile Island, and Gilson's Point, that we see a good trend of, so that is pointing downward. So we're seeing more into the water column than when we started back in 2004. And we don't really see that in the Eastern Basin, but mind you, that is a deeper basin. Caesarea, View Lake, those are deeper basins. So that's why. Okay. One thing to note that we are working with Environment and Climate Change Canada and Ontario Tech to look deeper into the data set and hopefully going to publish a scientific paper soonish. So we had, to celebrate the 20 year of monitoring, we also did a consultation phase. This was last year, done in 2024, and where we engaged members of the public and Lake Skugog stakeholders and right holders. So to engage the public, we had an online survey and we attended public-facing farmers market events. And we held an online meeting to kind of get to people who couldn't make it to the farmers markets. We also had a social media campaign that we redirected people to the online survey. And we did 20 facts to celebrate 20 years. And we had a then versus now, so 2004 versus 2024, and a day in a life theme. So our communications assistant followed us and we showcased how we monitor Lake Skugog. And then we, we engaged stakeholders and right holders. Those are the lists that were able to meet with us. We did send out invitations to other groups, but for various reasons, they couldn't give us feedback regarding our monitoring. Next slide, please. So some results from our online survey. So over 500 people took the online survey, and 90% of those participants indicated that they were working or living within 5 kilometers of Lake Skugog. So those people live in the watershed of Lake Skugog. And about 71% also worked and lived in those 5 kilometers for 5 or more years. So we had a good amount of participants who first have lived and worked in Lake Skugog for a really long time. So they really know the lake and the landscape surrounding the lake as well. So next slide, next please. When asked about various topics, most of the participants selected 4 or 5. That's very concerned about to describe how concerned they were. And then, so you can see most of the participants were very concerned regarding harmful algae blooms, lake water quality, agriculture, all of those topics there. Next, please. And then, interestingly, when asked about how knowledgeable they were about those same topics, a lot, I would say 70% indicated that was somewhat to not knowledgeable. So that means that we, as a conservation authority who have experience on the lake, should educate the public more about those specific topics. So when asked, do you have any other topics that you're worried about and would like us to explore in the future? So most participants, so this is a word cloud on the right, and then a word map. I've never heard of it until most recently. But the top 5 words that people were most concerned about and would like us to look into in the future was lake, development, fishing or fish, shoreline, and weeds. Next slide, please. So when we engaged with stakeholders and right holders, we got a variety of different feedback, but they can be grouped into 3 themes: environmental monitoring, reporting and communication, and partnership. So within the environmental monitoring kind of theme, a lot of the feedback consists of continuing the work that we've done and expanding to cover background water quality. So in areas that are not as developed, spring and fall months, so not a day like today, during those changing times where we see really quick melts, for example, or really intense storms. We would, another feedback would be to include other water quality parameters and include a biological component within the near shore, and to look at internal loadings as well. So for reporting and communications, next please. A lot of the stakeholders were actually surprised that we had this amazing project that's been going for such a long time. So admittedly, we need to highlight this program even more. And with that, they would like us to report more on what we find. Next, please. And for partnership, so with a great program like this, we have 6 incredible sites that we continuously go. So these are like static, they don't move. We go and do the same thing. This creates a unique opportunity to partner with academia and to provide training to both Indigenous and non-Indigenous youth in environmental monitoring. As well, Parks Canada did indicate that they could provide some support if we had a project that kind of aligns well with their management plan. So this is our current monitoring kind of design. So our blue dots, that's where we go monthly to collect water quality. We also have 2 Category 1 programs within this watershed. One is the Provincial Stream Water Quality Monitoring Network that is done in Non-Quan and Blackstock Creek. That's your purple squares. And then we have our flood forecasting program, which consists of 2 long-term water level monitoring sites. And we've been monitoring East Cross Creek since 2006, continuously. Next slide, please. So these are, to boil all the feedback down, these are kind of our enhancement recommendations. So this table shows timelines, goals, and proposed changes to enhance the program, which includes expanding to include background sites to monitor during the spring, summer, and fall, expand to other water quality parameters. This is, for example, heavy metals or other nutrients. Report annually on the previous year's data and to report every 5 years on like a trending kind of report. Survey the shoreline of the lake and for fish habitat. Every 5 years, conduct a sediment quality survey. And lastly, provide, if possible, and with opportunistically, provide stipend to train youth in environmental monitoring. And that's about it. These are actually photos that I found in our server. So you can see our old school uniform. I can't rock that mustache. That guy on the left has a killer mustache. I can't do that. But you can see all the people that have worked on the Lake Sioux Valley Environmental Management Plan. That is it. Well, we have a video, but that's it.
No.
I don't know, take some questions here first. Are there any questions? I have a question. Um, so, we've had this for 20 years. And it's not getting better.
Sir.
So we have lots of monitoring and, we've got all the data. How do we make it better?
So through you, Madam Chair, so that's the Durham implementation. So the stewardship has done quite a lot since to improve water quality at site-specific levels. But these monitoring sites, they represent a whole landscape. So it's really, there is still a lot of work to do, but there are some good news stories. For example, that water clarity graph that we showed,
Yeah.
We can see more into the lake. It's showing clear water. Nobody really wants to swim in murky water. Since 2004, we've really done, that basin has really cleared up and it's really shown.
So there's some good news.
Yeah.
And I mean, it kickstarted the rest of the lake management plans, so
Exactly.
it's a good thing. Okay, Jerry.
Through the sheriff, you alluded there was going to be some scientific papers coming out of all this data in the last 15, 10 years, whatever. Will you be involved in preparing some of that paperwork, or is that some other level of the ministry that's going to be doing that?
Through you, Madam Chair, to the councillor, yes, I will be involved with writing those scientific papers.
What would you see as the trend, to use that term earlier? Like what do you see happening that would be statistically important to us in our paper that's going to be written?
Through you, the chair, to the councillor. Right now, we're just doing preliminary results. I can't really say, but once we publish the paper, I'd be more than happy to come back again and present to you guys.
Sure. That's great. Yeah, need some good news. Okay, so are there any other questions? Okay, we'll have our little video now.
Madam Chair, before we do the video, I just wanted to recognize.
Oh, yes.
Jeff, we're still with the joint,
Yes.
so thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for coming, Jeff.
Of First Island, sorry, Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nations. I
Yeah.
usually do FSI events. And Lloyd Rang is also online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Lloyd. Thank you for coming. Okay, all right. Let's have the video.
That was really good.
Yes, yes, there you go, yes.
Well done.
Are there any questions after watching the video? I have a question. You said clarity has improved, and how has that improved? What initiatives have caused clarity to improve?
I'll bring it back over to her, Madam Chair,
Yeah,
to
sure.
answer that. He's the expert in this.
Yeah,
I can't, through you, Madam Chair, or to you, Madam Chair.
whatever.
So water clarity in the Western Basin has improved. I can't pinpoint, like, it's a multiple prong approach. So we did the Port Perry stormwater program. So that improved stormwater coming off the urban area. And also we've done a fair bit amount of stewardship in tributaries that lead into the Western Basin. That's all I can say for now.
It's improved, so that's a good thing, yeah, out of all the other increases. Are there any other questions? Peter?
I have a question on water quality. Is the water quality for human use what we like to see as water quality? Is that the same as for the fish and turtles and that? So I imagine it'd be quite a difference. They don't care about clarity. They care about a place to live.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the councillor. So one of the thresholds that we compare our results to is to the provincial objectives, and that's for general human and animal use. We also look at specifically like organisms, like plants and animals that live in the lake, their thresholds as well. They do somewhat care about water quality, like water clarity. For example, muskie is really well known here, and they're kind of like visual hunters. So they don't really like muddy waters, like so they kind of need that like clear water to like hunt and live. Yeah, so yeah.
How about turtles?
Turtles as well. Generally we see kind of, I mean, turtles, I'm not an aquatic biologist, but I would assume that because they are a sensitive species, that they would prefer good water clarity. We don't really see turtles in really bad areas. We always see them like around the Kawarthas, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Tracy?
So the impact of, say, this summer, for example, where we're not getting the precipitation and we're getting very extreme warm temperatures, how does that impact?
Through you, Madam Chair, to the councillor. So when we have drought-like conditions with little to no rain, we do see an accumulation of contaminants on the ground, right? That accumulates. And when we have these intense rainstorm, all that rushes into the water courses all at once. And that overrides the natural like riparian zones that can do filtering, but we have such an intense storm, intense flushing all at once, that kind of just overrides it. And so more contaminants get into the creeks, which then leads to the rivers. Another outcome coming from that is when we have these intense rainstorms, the energy of just more water going through the system all at once creates erosion issues, and that further leads to poor water quality and clarity.
Okay, yes, yeah.
With the drought and the high heat that we do have you seen a spike in blue green algae and others that it's this year specifically?
Yeah, so through you, Madam Chair, to Councillor Forbes. This year we did see a blue-green algae bloom, and it was confirmed on July 9th out of Caesarea and Williams Point. We expect, this is from the literature and what we know from blue-green algae, that when we have these prolonged periods of no precipitation, low winds, just lots of just ideal conditions for algae blooms, that the probability of seeing blue-green algae blooms more often will continue.
Awesome.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Are there any carp in Scugog?
To you, Madam Chair, yes, there are carp in Lake Skiyog.
So I've had some complaints about carp in other lakes, and I gave that to Brett to just, see if that's a trend or not, because it seems like the same sort of heat issue that we have now that, caused a lot of the carp kill off back in the day, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Okay,
And Madam Chair, just like to note a couple of things. Our Vice Chair has been able to join us.
Yeah,
Harold
Harold.
White. And also Lloyd has a question as well.
yes, Lloyd?
Hi there. Thank you so much. Great presentation, great video, really informative. Loved it. I have no notes. Only question I have is, do you have any plans to share this with other stakeholders, like in the ag community, fishing community, that sort of thing? Like, is there a roadshow envisioned for this? Thanks.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the councillor, our data that we generate, we do have a plan to have it open through our open data policy. So that would be one avenue, but to report, so in the enhancements, we do plan on reporting every year and every 5 years. And through those reporting, we will share with all of the groups through social media or through our website or whatnot. We'll make it definitely available for everybody to take a look at.
The only reason I say this is because I can imagine, particularly the fishing community, folks would have a great deal of interest in the video itself. Like if there was some sort of plan to sort of push it out to them, I think it's digestible, you know what I mean? Like it's very understandable to the layperson as well. So
Chamber of Commerce or something.
yeah.
Good idea.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to echo Lloyd's Director Ring's comments. That is exactly what we plan on doing. I think the material is digestible and it shows a lot of great information. So we do plan on providing that to a number of interest groups, certainly open to presentations as well. For a number of groups that might be interested. So we do plan on doing that. I know John already has a plan on rolling this out to make sure it's reaching the most people it can as well. So
Good. Okay, any other questions or comments? Oh,
Has there been any luck into the enrollment decrease in Scugog? I can't recall. I do apologize. It's been a while last term. And I haven't been here very much, but in these testings or surveys that we has been looking at that at all.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Councillor Forbes. Unfortunately, through this program, we have not looked at Mahnomen, but we did engage with yourself and the community, and the community did indicate that Mahnomen is of high priority, so we have included that in the enhancement. So if we're successful with getting the enhancement for this program, Mahnomen will be a priority in our vegetation survey.
good. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, none seen. So I've got a couple resolutions, I guess 6.1. I need a motion that the presentation of the implementation and consultation update related to the review of the Lake Scugog Environmental Management Plan be received. That's the first one. Jerry and Mark, all in favor? Carried. And the second one, resolve that the Lake Scugog Environmental Management Plan consultation results and recommendations report highlighting feedback on implementation efforts and evolving lake priorities from the community be received. Also, that the new proposed enhancements involving sampling design, increased reporting, and training opportunities be included for consideration in the 2026 work plan development and budgeting process for watershed plan implementation projects. Okay, Jerry, I need a seconder. Tracy, all in favor? Carried. Well, thanks a lot, Tanner. That was really interesting.
No problem. you guys ever interested, get on the boat.
Okay, we're on to 6.2, Talking Forest Application Redevelopment. Melissa Creasy Alexander, Coordinator, Conservation Lands.
Thank you. That was me. Yeah, so as was mentioned, I'm happy to provide everybody with an update on the redevelopment of our Talking Forest app today. Just kidding. So we'll start quickly with a brief history. The Talking Forest app was developed back in 2021 with a company called Tree Frog at the time, and it was a free interactive trail app that we developed that was available on Android and iOS. And the intentions of it was for us to be able to connect with our community during a time where we weren't physically able to connect with our community. So from that, we uploaded several different educational trails to Ken Reed, Pigeon River, Windy Ridge, and I got started with Durham's Cross Forest. And through the process, there was a bit of a need for an update. So as we continued to work through the app, we ended up discovering there was some inconsistencies. We would end up loading up a new trail, and unfortunately the trail wouldn't work. We were continuously having to go back with the app developer to request fixes and errors be addressed. And the big issue, unfortunately, was customers really didn't have a way to provide us with this feedback. So there was no way for individuals that were using the app to reach out to us and say, hey, I'm experiencing an issue and I'm unable to proceed with the application. So unfortunately, they would be stuck and they would end up either contacting us directly or they would ultimately stop using the application. In turn, the bigger issue was the relationship with the developer. Unfortunately, they didn't have the interest in the app that we did and the level of service that we required to keep that app functioning at a level that met the needs of the public just wasn't there. So we would reach out to them to disclose an issue with the app, and we would be left hanging, waiting for a solution, which wasn't ideal for us and certainly wasn't ideal for the customers. So from that, we actually reached out to one of our other fellow CAs. So Hamilton Conservation Authority had actually also started working with Tree Frog. So through this, we were hoping other CAs would join in and they would in turn put their experiences on the Talking Forest app so that you could have this beautiful collection of all these different interpretive trails throughout a variety of different conservation authorities. However, what ended up happening was Tree Frog ended up pulling out of the program altogether, and they ended up leaving Hamilton Conservation Authority without a finished product. So they were left with all of these trail ideas that they had started to create and no way to fulfill it. And we were left without a company willing to host our data any longer or provide us with any technical support. So from that, we had already had a few conversations with another partner that we work with called Ampere. They're formerly called Pinois. They're a local organization here in Lindsay, and they actually facilitate a number of their educational programs on our property here at Ken Reed. And in some of the discussions with them, they also do a lot of IT and app development. And when we started those discussions with them, they started to express an interest in this app as well and saw the value of them being able to provide interpretive education through it to their students. So with that, Ampere, Hamilton, and ourselves all came together and we developed this new partnership so that we could redo the Talking Forest. And with that, we ended up with a multi-benefiting co-investment, with Ampere actually taking on the largest portion of the investment in that, with intentions for them to be able to maintain the data after the app is completed, and not only maintain it, but utilize it. So not only are they invested in it for us, but they are also invested in it for their own uses so that they can continue to take that information and use it with their STEAM programming. So as a part of this, we've been working very closely with those two different organizations for the last year and a bit, redeveloping the Talking Forest app into something that's going to be a lot more functional, a lot more user-friendly, and provide us with a lot of opportunities into the future. And then in May of early this year, we actually had the opportunity to host Hamilton Ampere here at Ken Reed Conservation Area for some testing of the application. We spent a day here at Ken Reed, exploring and trying some of the points, going over with Hamilton how we're utilizing the app and what some of the different methods were that they were utilizing the application, as well as having Ampere come out and visit us on site and us going to their offices to visit them at their offices and go over the wireframes and testing and getting ready for releasing to the Android and Apple stores.
Cool.
So from that, we have come up with several design and improvements on both the end user experience and the back end experience. So right now we're going to talk about the end user experience. So for our guests that are coming out to use the app, we have made it a lot more user friendly. Previously, when you would open up the app, you'd have to navigate through several menus, and unless you actually knew what was under those menus, there was really limited instructions that helped you navigate that. So it wasn't very intuitive, and oftentimes we would find guests would be calling us saying, I can't find where that trail is, and we would have to walk them through that process. So with that, we ended up simplifying that, removing some of those menus and making it very easy. So once that app opens up, it's very simple to find where you want to go and what you want to explore. We also went ahead and included new features to identify different terrain on the trails. So previously you would just get a trail name. Now you can get a trail name and a bit of an idea as to what type of terrain you'll be coming into while you're exploring that trail. We can also include items such as sorting. So if you want to find an accessible trail, we can identify all of our accessible trails, or if you just want to see what the most popular one is, you can sort through to find your most popular trails. And then the big thing is we've also included an ability for users to report issues with the app. So directly inside the app, there are options for users to report or directly contact us. And you can do so for either conservation authority that's on there. There's the ability to switch through profiles. So if you happen to be out exploring Hamilton conservation area, you have that ability to switch through and report the issue to them. Vice versa, if you're one of ours, you can report to us. So Mel, perfect, thank you. So the one on the left is our old one, and the one on the right is our new look. So on the left, and there's some more photos on the next slide, so we'll get into that. But on the left, you'll notice the icons are actually of old trail markers that we utilize. We've moved away from those. So that in itself was a big hurdle for us, because now anytime we decide to change a trail or create a new trail, we are having to also go in and change our markers. You'll also see there's no trails actually identified on it. They're just a bunch of dots that are kind of overlaid on an image there, which was a big issue for some users. So you go out and you find your dots and you're navigating through a forest on an aerial map that doesn't have the trails overlaid on it, which made it quite difficult for users to find their way. The one on the right, it actually provides a lot more images and a lot more description. So it's a lot more interactive and user-friendly. And as well, the trails are actually provided on it. So when your location pops up, you can see your little blue dot and follow the trail that you're on. So I'll just get you to flip to the next page. So this is a side-by-side comparison of the two. On the left, you have the old version, and the way that the trails are laid out, that's all you would see. You wouldn't get a description of the conservation area the trails were in. You wouldn't get a description of what the trail featured that you were going on to. It's just, you can pick Ken Reed, Windy Ridge, or whatever other trail is there. Whereas on the right-hand side, we actually have the ability to provide details about Ken Reed. So if we go in, we can click Ken Reed and you can get a nice little description about Ken Reed and the conservation area itself. When you go into the trail specifically, you can also get a detailed description of the trail as well. And we have those abilities to include more photos. And then on the right, oh, sorry, Mom, just one more. You'll just see the difference between the icons now. So previously icons did not flag or change colors when you were finished listening to an audio clip. Now, as you go through the trail, the icons will actually change colors so you can see where you've been on your journey. For the back end, we also made significant improvements as well. During the old app, there were several stages that were required for us to actually be able to upload a trail. So the first one was we had to have a special app. We had a geo editor app that worked on an Android device where you could go out, collect the points, and send them back, and it would convert everything into a GeoJSON file, and you would email it, and then you would have to upload it into the back end. Photos, we would have to go out and individually take those as well, email them back, but then they would have to be uploaded into a Dropbox, parsed, and then imported into the server. So it was probably about a 3 or 4 step process just to be able to upload the information for a trail. We have, however, now streamlined it. There are no longer any requirements for us to use Dropbox, which means we also don't have to have our information living in multiple different places. We're able to use our server to host all of our information. It's easier to find it, and there's no more time, like downtime, trying to go through those processes. We also incorporated the ability for us to track usage. So previously we had to go through the developer to find out what type of usages we were getting. We have the ability to see in the back end which are the most popular trails that people are liking, how many visits they've had to them, and which ones they're favoriting, which gives us a little more insight as to where the trails are the most popular. And now I'll just get you to actually play that video there. So this is our new backend. It's very simplified. We go in, we can add trail points. And then this is a side-by-side comparison. So up top, you'll see the old version where we had to upload things via Dropbox, add in separate URL links, and add in the audio files. And in the bottom, that's our new look. So with the new one, not only are we able to add everything on one panel, we're also able to add descriptions. So we're hitting a little larger demographic. If somebody doesn't want to listen to it, they can actually go through and they can also read all the information as well, which is really nice. We have the ability to set themes on this one as well. So previously we would have had to build a separate trail if we wanted to add a themed event. We don't have to do that any longer. We can just set a theme time on the new app all on the same trail, which means we're not out having to collect extra points. And on top of that, the big bonus is they've actually provided us a map. So on the new panel, when you are inputting your lat long coordinates, you can click on the map and it'll actually populate a map for you, and it'll show you the placement of your coordinates, so you can ensure that there is accuracy to them before you publish it. That way we're not submitting points that aren't anywhere close to where there should be. So relaunch and upcoming events. We're anticipating a relaunch in early September. Currently, it's been approved on the Android Play Store, and we're in testing phases right now, and we're waiting for it to be approved on the iOS store. There's a few bugs that we have noticed in the back end that occurred during the migration from development to live that the developers are working to correct for us right now. However, on October 27th, we will be bringing out all of the other members of the conservation areas workshop. So it's an annual retreat that happens every year where lands team members come together and we're able to network and discuss different projects and opportunities on our lands. We will be bringing them out here to Ken Reed Conservation Area with Ampere, and we will be hosting them for a site tour to see how it is that we're using the talking forest and how they can go ahead and incorporate into their conservation areas. And Hamilton will actually be running the same site visit the same day in Hamilton. So any conservation authorities that can't make the drive out here to the Fourth Lakes to visit us can also have the same experience at Hamilton, CA, and see what it is that they can do with the apps in their conservations as well. So what does this mean for the future? We see a lot of potential for this app with the new functionality and all of the different tools that we have. We see expanding on our educational trails. We see opportunities to not only opportunities, but we're already preparing to incorporate into our restoration work and demonstration sites that we have, highlighting the programs and the initiatives. We see opportunities to continue working with educational groups. So historically, an initiative that we did with the Talking Forest was working with a young elementary school group. They came out and built turtle nest boxes on site here and created individual scripts about the different turtles of Ontario that you could go around the park and listen to and learn about while seeing their turtle nest boxes. So we see opportunity to continue offering those services. And then new potential uses for providing updates on our trails. So we see the ability for us to provide navigational, it could be used for wayfinding. Hamilton's already using it for that purpose, where they can tell people directional to stay on a trail, go this way, go that way, without having to implement new signage. It also means less infrastructure on the trails in some regards. And we also see the ability for us to develop and incorporate some of our existing programs. So for example, we have a word scramble out here on Ken Reed, taking that from potentially, paper product to putting it on an Android or an Apple device that people could go out and use that. And we have a memorial bench program where we see the ability for us to work with the community to put that on the app as well. So there's a lot of fun and exciting opportunities that come from this new expanded version.
Cool. Great. Well, thank you. That was a really neat presentation. Yeah, evolution. Okay. Any questions, please?
Question for you, Chair. I think it's great. I mean, it's going to give us opportunity, like, to promote tourism, provide that education awareness. Is there, in this app, is there a spot where the user can provide feedback too, or?
So we were talking about this. They can go in and report issues, but we've been talking about potentially in the future expanding so that they can come in and report stuff they're seeing on the trails. Potentially they're walking and they see a trail hazard, they can report a trail hazard. Maybe they're seeing something of interest that they would also like to see a trail on in the future. This was the discussion that we had on our site visit day here when we had Hamilton, and we see this being something that we can expand on into the future. So I think because Ampere is also really invested in this and wants to incorporate it into their education programs, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to expand into those areas as we move forward.
Yeah, it's an opportunity, like you said, it could save staff time, right? If somebody's reporting, say, a washout, we had a heavy storm or something, so you have to have someone over there to do trail maintenance. No, I think it's been fantastic.
Yeah. And Ampere gets lots of grants.
Yes, so they have already told us, one of the main reasons they wanted to be able to keep the source data afterward was so they could use it, but also so that they can continue to funding into it. So they made note of that themselves, that they're able to apply for a lot of grants, and they intend to take any sort of revenue that they do make from bringing on new people into the program and customizing it, and they plan to reinvest that back into the app and non-profit program that they offer.
That's great news. Wonderful. Okay, any other questions? Is there anybody? Yeah.
That three, excuse me, Madam Chair. Just expanding on Councillor Tracy's question as well. So is it only KC that can populate the trail maps? So me as a visitor can't go in and populate a trail. Is that correct?
Yeah, through you, Chair, that's correct. Right now, it's just the maps that we have populated. But as I did say, we were already talking about that with Hamilton and Ampere when we were here, because we also think it would be really interesting to get the customer's perspective on what they want to hear about in the forest, and that's the best way to get that information from them.
Yeah, and just populating pictures and that sort of
Yes.
thing that can be used elsewhere. So, it's great.
Great. You fellows, do you have any questions up there and online? No. Oh, I don't see that. Okay. All righty. Okay, so 6.2, resolve that the presentation on the redevelopment of the Talking Forest application be received. Tracy and Jerry, all in favor? Carried. Great. And then we're on to 6.2.1, Talking Forest application redevelopment. Resolve that the updates on the redevelopment and relaunch of the Talking Forest mobile application received. Okay, Peter and Jerry, all in favor? Carried. Great, thanks. Not. And we're now on to 7.1. Permits issued by designated staff. Chris Habe.
Madam Chair. As you can see from our report for June, we processed 32 permits, 9 revisions to permits as well. We did a couple of compliance files with our new compliance officer. I am thrilled to note that our numbers continue to rise, and we were able to hit 97% on our calc timelines, and in the case of our provincial timelines, 97% for review, and of course 100% for issuance. So the one file that we missed the timelines on was tied up with an engineering review of the floodplain mapping that needed to be done before we could issue the permit, and therefore we were a little off on the timelines on that one. So one of the things that I've been looking at, though, is the average number of days that it's taking us to review some of our files and get those permits out, and talking to the team around things about like customer service and staying on top of these numbers and continuing to see them increase. And I'm really thrilled to say that we're utilizing about 60% of our timeline, which leaves us, you know, when we have a timeline of, you know, 14 days to review it, or 10 days to review it and 21 days to issue. It means that we've given ourselves, you know, 40% of that timeline is available at the end, that if something were to happen, somebody goes on vacation, that sort of thing, we have an ability to be resilient in that way, which is really exciting to see. It also gives us the opportunity to respond quickly to special requests. We had one request just recently where one of our landowners, their home burned down, and they were looking to rebuild, but they were experiencing some looting on their burned out house, and they really wanted to move through the process of being able to demolish that home quickly before somebody was either hurt or they lost even more of their belongings. And we were able to turn that around within one day of receiving the application, being able to get it out. And I'm really proud of the team and the effort and the care that they're putting into customer service and making sure that we can help to promote these types of things and help people get the response that they need.
Great. Well done. Things are starting to improve. Okay, any questions, Christy? Okay, can I have a motion to receive or resolve that permitting performance report for June 2025 be received, and that following section 28 permits issued by staff be received? Permits issued 2025 103, 2025 134, permits revised 2023 201, 267, 302, 346, 359, 361, 2024 174, 2025 036, and 2025 088. Okay, Jerry and Mark, all in favor? Carried. Great, thank you. And we're on to 7.2 strategic actions. Mark Bukowski, CAO.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair. I'll keep this one pretty brief since it is a roll-up of a lot of the information in the CAO reports that provide to you. So if you have any questions on the strategic actions that have been accomplished at a fairly granular scale, those are presented in the tables associated with this report, and those were all in the second quarter of this year. So either myself or our leadership team is available for any questions you may have on that.
Great, thank you, Mark. Are there any questions of Mark or the senior management team? Okay, so resolve that the CAO monthly report from, oh, sorry.
The quarterly.
Oh, the quarterly report, sorry. It says, okay, I'm jumping ahead. I'm sorry, that the staff report on strategic actions updated for the second quarter of 2025 be received. Okay, Peter and Jerry, all in favor? Carried. Now we're on to the CA report, 7.3.
Thank you, Manager. This one I'll talk a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's been a busy month, same as most months it seems here, so always lots on the go. We did have a Conservation Ontario meeting on June 23rd, and our vice chair was able to attend that, Harold Wright, so that was great, and I think Harold enjoyed that. It might be put words into his mouth, but I think he enjoyed it so much he wishes he could be there for every single one. But lots of good work that was discussed at that meeting. It was work plan and budget status. And that follows some of the good work I know that you, Madam Chair, do with council there. There was the discussion of a couple of key projects, like the Coastal Hazard Project on the Great Lakes. We aren't on the Great Lakes, but there is lots of good work that's being done on that front in order to figure out some of the bigger erosion hazards from bigger processes as a result of bigger bodies of water moving things around. There's the comments that were discussed related to several pieces of legislation from the province. And then following that meeting, there was a meeting of all the CEOs and GMs across the province as well to discuss different opportunities to work together and support strategically different initiatives that are going on at several levels. We did discuss a couple of things too that are emerging within our workplaces, like the use of artificial intelligence and how to leverage that. Also seeing who's ahead of the curve on those sorts of things. Also discussed some recent court decisions that impact on our ability to issue permits and what that might mean for things in the future. So those were some of the most relevant pieces, and then there were some other aspects as well that were discussed. We did have the new director for the Source Protection Branch and now CAs as well that provide a presentation on the Source Protection Program. So it was nice to see her there as well. We've got a lot of interesting communications that are going on, and we did highlight the Burns Bulk Food Lindsay, the Trail Treasures, next to the month. And you can see from the results in the posts that are provided in the report that has been one of the more popular items that we received some reactions from the community, all positive. So that's great to see as well. Moving on to a couple of other items, we've been focused on the budget, creating budget numbers for that based on some of the guidelines that we've seen. And we've been busy on the recruitment of a couple of positions as well. So we have a stewardship technician position that's a backfill for Danielle, and so we've had those interviews. We'll be announcing successful candidates soon, and just looking at tidying up some of the contracts on that end and let people know if they're successful. But we are looking at filling that one very, very shortly. And we have the Director of Corporate Services position as well that's closed. So we'll be looking at scheduling interviews for those very soon. Cybersecurity, I thought would be a topical thing. It was something that was highlighted a little bit at the CEO meeting, but we've been investing in our ability to make sure that we're not going to be subject to anything of that sort that we really don't want to be. So cybersecurity is a key focus. We've got a couple of systems that indicate how well we're doing, and you'll see that our score on this MDR score, Managed Incident Response, is a software that we have that analyzes everything and figures out where you might be vulnerable. Our score is very, very low. So that indicates that we're doing a good job as a whole, and it really means Warren's on top of that, which is great. Warren's our IT guy. So 2 out of 100, where 2 is really good and 100 is like really bad. There's with our new compliance officer as well, we've been able to address some of our high priority files. So we're looking at addressing that and make sure that we're able to resolve any things that we see on the landscape, which is great. Christy mentioned some of the great work that we're doing in permitting. Also in planning, we're meeting 96% of the timelines for applications with the municipal dates that are provided to us, making sure we meet those comment deadlines. So doing great on that as well. And as Christy mentioned, we did complete a fairly high priority review, I would call it, for permitting, but it was also tied with the planning process and a subdivision. And source protection, there's been some activity that's been going on as well. We have, if you remember to the source protection meeting, there was a concern that the source protection committee had related to reporting from the ministry. There was discussions that have occurred since with the support of all the source protection authorities supporting the both the regional team and the source protection committee. Those discussions went well. And so there will be improved reporting as a result. And because of that, there's some more work that will go into just preparing that response and then having ministry approvals. Those approvals do include an amendment as well for the Kings Bay water supply system. So that'll be moving forward as well. And those two are kind of co-joined in a lot of ways, but have separate legislative processes. So those will both come to a conclusion with a note that there's a couple of other planned systems or some edits that'll have to be the subject of future amendment work that'll go on. Burnt River Floodplain Management Project is going well. I believe we've either received the City of Kawartha Lakes MOU, but still working on the bigger federal provincial agreement at this point in time, but fairly close. But we were able to advance some of the efforts there because we do have defined timelines to have a product out. So we're on target for those, which is great, and look forward to those MOUs getting finalized at the provincial and federal levels. Ice storm seems like it's been a long time since it happened, but for the conservation areas crew, it's still top of mind for them. So we have been able to open up another trail in Ken Reed. Fleetwood Creek, we manage that property on behalf of the Ontario Heritage Trust, or yes, trust. And so they've given approval for us to hire a contractor to clear those trails. So that's good news as well. And we also noticed our boardwalk was a little bit, I'll call it awry. It was not in great condition at one end of the boardwalk. So that's been fixed now too. So at the time writing the report, we indicated it was underway, and that is actually open now. So that's great news. Moving along to forestry, which I know is interesting. You saw some of the highlights that were provided with the Lake Scugog Environmental Management Plan consultation update. And this forestry program does affect the tree planting programs across our watershed, most notably Durham and City of Kawartha Lakes. So that 50 million tree program, yes, they did change their name because they met their target. So now it's called the planting program. And they changed their name from, I believe it's Forest Ontario to Forest Canada as well. So a couple of changes there. And in doing this kind of rebranding, they've also done a few notable changes, which I think fit the community better. So they've historically only funded trees, but now they're including shrubs. So there's ability for shrubs to be included, which is great. Trees being really tall and shrubs being shorter than trees. So usually about no more like 15 meters tall. So a little bit shorter, which some people like on their lawns.
Is that heritage? Like,
they do have a specific shrub species list that they consider eligible. So, so yes, it does include that. And then the other piece that was notable is that there's a new eligible project type, which is forest restoration. And this is where you can now replant historically forested areas that may have experienced canopy loss due to wildfire, pests, ice storms, perhaps, or other external factors. Storm damage in general is what was listed. So, so that was piloted this year and is now an official type for the 2024-25 season. So now in the 25-26, it's an official type, which is great. And We have received $173,000 as well for over 2 years for the continuation of the Talbot River Environmental Healthy Environment Program through to March 2027, which is great as well. So we work with Lake Simcoe on that. And Alice program is another program that we've been able to make some really good headway on. We've had a PAC meeting, the Participant Advisory Committee meeting, in order to go over a number of projects. So there's been a number of projects, I believe 13, that have been approved. And that's due to Josh's good work, Josh Nazo, who we hired this year and is already making sure he gets a lot of things on the ground, which is tremendous. On integrated watershed management, we have a number of updates. You'll see a number of graphs representing the science on that we've collected for a couple of areas. So if you have any questions on that, I guess talk to Tanner and Nancy and some of the other guys that we have there, but some really interesting information that we have presented to you there. We've discovered a gauge that we didn't know about as well when we were doing some consultation up in Councillor Franzen's territory, or Director Franzen's territory. So it was great to see that, and that augments our flood forecasting abilities, which is tremendous as well. On the flood forecasting side, we do note that there really hasn't been a lot of rain recently. We're at 30% of normal for June. July, I don't think looks much better at this point. So we are currently in a normal level because we evaluate that at the end of the month. But as we look into July, there might be a potential that we end up moving into a low water level of 1 or 2, most likely. But if you're looking at even though it's calculated on a 3-month average, if you're just to look at June, we would be in a level 3. It's been so much little precipitation that's fallen. So that's something that we'll keep a close eye on as our year progresses. And then you see a couple of other science pieces that we've got in there based on some reports, analyzing some of the information that we have both in Durham region as well as City of North Lakes for a couple of the streams that we're doing some of the investigative upstream monitoring on. So that's where we have some base stations at the outlet of creeks, but we know it's an issue. Perhaps high nitrogen, high phosphorus, or maybe some other item. And then we actually look upstream to try and figure out what's going on upstream that might be influencing that, and be able to refine our information so we can then pass it on to Danielle to do some of her good work, or look at some priority areas for tree planting and things like that. So it all impacts back to doing something on the landscape.
Can I just ask you, is the monitoring site in Trent Lakes, is that on Mill Line Road?
Oh, for the station?
Yeah, because there used to be an old one with Trent University on Mill Line Road. And I just wondered if it was still.
This one's actually with one of our partners. And I can't remember if it was the feds or it's Parks Canada, yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually right on the dam.
Okay.
Yeah. And this one's accessible, which is great too. So. And I think, Madam Chair, unless you want to hear more about the science stuff,
Oh, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Are there any questions of Mark? Okay, so can I get a motion to receive his report, please? Okay, Jerry and Tracy, all in favor? Carried, great. Okay. So we're on to 8.1 provincial offenses officer appointment. Chris, oh, sorry. Oh, did I miss correspondence? Oh, boy. Okay. Oh, okay. Are there any questions on correspondence? Okay, can I have a motion to receive the correspondence? Okay, Mark and Peter, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Now we're on to 8.1 provincial offenses officer appointment, Christy McCabe.
There. As you are aware, Rusty Rustenberg was brought onto the team as a compliance officer and permitting technician. But before he could go out and do any sort of investigations with regards to the section 28 or 29, that appointment needs to come from the board. So you sort of have a sense as to what his resume entails. Rusty brings with him a great deal of experience in multiple aspects of enforcement, not just from a provincial offenses officer perspective, but also doing some international investigations through his work with the Ministry of Natural Resources and some municipal bylaw enforcement as well. He has a great deal of training and background. And so we're looking for board support to appoint him for section 28, which is our planning and permitting regs, but also section 29, so that he can assist in any issues that we might have on our conservation areas. We do have conservation area provincial offenses officers too, but it's always nice to have that backup.
Great, thank you, Christy. Are there any questions? Okay, resolve that Rusty Rustenberg be appointed as Provincial Offenses Officer for the purpose of enforcing the Conservation Authorities Act, RSO 1990, Chapter 27, and the regulations pursuant to Section 28 and 29, and the Trespass to Property Act. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Mark, seconder, please. Lloyd, okay, thank you. Any more, no questions? All in favor? Carried. Great. Okay, so we're on to 8.2, 2026 budget guidelines, page 120.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair, and I have Alex Krianicki here as well, who's taking a lead role in the development of the budget as well this year. And what we have is a couple of guidelines that have been provided by our municipalities. So we have Durham Region, who's requested 2.5% increase, and some subtleties there in terms of some of the way in which it's calculated, and then 3% for City of Kawartha Lakes. We haven't received guidelines from Cavan Monaghan or Trent Lakes, but we traditionally don't receive those as well. I'm sure they appreciate lower than higher.
Yeah.
And this all ties into we are looking at 2.5% increase for this year, meaning Durham Regions guideline, and we are looking at some special project expenditures on the City of Kawartha Lakeside as well. So it'll probably kind of match both of those guidelines in the end. We are looking at using that 2.5 in order to tie in with different pressures that we have on the budget, which are outlined in the tail end of the report. And from there, we'll develop a draft budget for consideration by the board. We are looking at that first draft coming forward in October, and a second draft based on input from the board in November, and if we need to, December. Ultimately looking at January for a budget vote, ideally following a 30-day circulation period to our municipalities. There are 4 distinct stages which are defined in the legislations. The first 2 are separated as determining the amounts for levy. Is the first stage. So that would be the October meeting. Approval of draft budget would be the second meeting. That would be the November meetings where we're looking at or projecting forward. The approval of amounts owed and final budget we combine together into one meeting, and that would be the January meeting. Once our municipal partners have had a chance to review, and I can go into some details on some of the guidelines if you'd like, but I think they're pretty well illustrated there. Some assumptions that are presented, of course, in any of the budgets. And the only thing I will mention is that we are looking at a couple of considerations. One is that our FTEs generally remain consistent. There might be some shifting in a general sense, but the number of FTEs would remain consistent. You kind of have to when you had at a 2% budget. We are noticing some inflationary adjustments that we're going to have to make for goods and services and different subscriptions that we have. And then implementation of climate change strategy is another consideration as well, where we're in year 2. But if you remember back to, I think it was last month, I mentioned that we were fortunate to be able to participate in one of the federal initiatives, and they're doing exactly what was proposed in our second year. So there might be some costs, but they would be a lot lower. So that's really great news. The only other thing I'll mention is that we are looking at implementing year 2 of the asset management plan strategy. So last year there was an implementation of 25-6 for making sure that we actually have a replacement pool for our assets, which I know we've dipped into this year as well, and looking at sequentially over 10 years, adding that same amount, sort of compounding on top of each other. So this would be the second year of that. So Madam Chair, that's the update.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, do we have any questions of the budget process? Nope. Okay, so resolve that staff bring forward a draft operating category 1 and 3 and general operating expenses budget considering at 2.5 municipal apportionment increase based on the current operating levels, economic climate and municipal guidelines, and that the capital apportionment is phased in accordance with asset management plan, and also staff align the budget process with the actions and timetable presented. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Okay, Peter and Harold? All in favor? Carry. Okay, any new business? None seen. Any reports or updates from board members? I was just thinking that when the new app gets done, it'd be really good for the board to actually go out and experience that. So
Love to do that.
that would be fun. I'd really like
Madam
that.
Chair, we have a couple of plans for the board. If the board is so willing, then I guess the only question would be, would you prefer before a board meeting or after a board meeting?
Probably before.
Before? Okay.
Yeah. That'd be great.
So we'll definitely keep you informed, and we can easily do it. I think we're planning something for September to do something like that, where you can, if you're able to, join a bit earlier, see a couple of things tied in with the Talking Forest, and maybe tying it in with some of the other initiatives that we have.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That
Like that.
things in perspective. Yes, see it on the ground.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so no reports or updates from anybody. Okay. We have no closed today, so just a motion to adjourn. Do you fellows want to do that up above? Lloyd, Harold, all in favor? Carried. Thanks a lot, folks.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thanks.